Good morning. Welcome to my Tireside chat. It's Wang Chung time. Monday morning. Wake up. Come on, everybody. Let's go. Party time. Oh, God. I didn't wash my car. Still haven't washed it. We went to Pismo a week ago. Well, we got back a week ago today. Good morning, friendly neighbors. And yeah, there was bug genocide on my windshield in the front of the car, and I still have yet to find time to make it to the car wash. I really should do that, because when I'm driving to work in the morning, I'm headed east here and right into the sun. What the hell is having problems? There we go. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see out of my windshield. Let's try the wipers again. I think maybe that's just making it worse. It's fine, I can see. I'm just gonna Ace Ventura it out the side here. Just gonna... Already somebody, what are you doing? First car I've encountered, and they're just like parked in the middle of the street. Okay, move. All right. Anyways, what's new? Yep, it's Monday. I'm headed to work. It's been an interesting weekend. I have a lot going on this week. A lot going on. Okay, come on. More people being slow and come on. Yeah, I have a lot going on this week. We've got, I've got 2 gigs this Friday and Saturday. Well, one on Friday, one on Saturday. Friday, I'm doing the thing with Jeffrey Bowman. Again, it's at the Auberry Library. It's the same performance that we did for the Rogue Festival. We haven't rehearsed it at all since the Rogue Festival back in March, but we were gonna try and squeeze in one more rehearsal this week, but that all hangs on our good friend Mr. Ben Batita. But Mr. Ben Batita is presumably doing like 3 or 4 different things for Porch Fest on Saturday, playing like in 3 or 4 different bands. I don't know. He's always juggling 3 or 4 different projects, and I don't know. It seems he must I think it's like every night he's rehearsing with a different band and then playing different gigs on the weekend. But he's our lead guitarist, and without him there to show up to rehearsal for this thing, there's not much point in us rehearsing again. So I think we're just gonna meet up and wing it, and it'll be fine. We've got like the script that we follow, and we've gone through it, I don't know, 15 times now, and I've basically committed it to muscle memory. So there's that. That'll be fun. So that's Friday. God, what time is it? I think it's at 7 or something. I gotta go back and look. I might have to get off work a little early to make it up there in time and with all my stuff. I scored some pineapple bubblies yesterday, or no, Saturday at Save Mart. Two for 1, or buy 2 get 1 free, not 2 for 1. Difference. Yeah. So then Saturday is Porch Fest in the Tower District, which for those of you who are watching who aren't familiar with it, here in Fresno, it started, I guess it was during COVID, but and I'm guessing that we got the idea from some other city like Austin or something, or Portland, and maybe this is kind of a thing that's sprung up all over the country, but it's just people setting up stages in their front yards all around the Tower District, and there's food trucks, and then they schedule bands, and people just walk around from house to house, seeing different bands playing, eating good food, and usually drinking beer and whatnot. But it's really cool. So we're going on at 4 o'clock. It's just me and my buddy Jim and Taylor. So I'm playing bass and singing, and Jim's our keyboardist, who's a really good keyboardist, and Taylor, drummer extraordinaire. Yeah, it's kind of mostly turned into a Sting and the Police cover band. Although we're trying to, like, just because, like, Jim is super into the police and I'm super into the police, and he knows a bunch of that on the keyboards already, and we haven't put a ton of effort into this. And so it just kind of, like, started with, and see, he's the main melodic instrument, or the only melodic instrument on the keyboards. So, you know, he just like, oh, let's play Don't Stand So Close to Me. And I'm like, okay, and then it just kind of turned into us. But we're trying to put different spins on everything. We've kind of done some fun stuff with it. I think it'll be cool. It's a little rough around the edges, but whatever. It should be fun. It's really low key, and I'm not setting the bar too high. So, in any case, so we've got that going on. What else? I've been dieting for this testing that I'm doing. At some point this week, I keep putting it off, but I'm seeing the same psychiatrist that we had Kaya Ray go to and Danielle went to. I'm turning this down. And he does like a full array of blood tests, genetics tests, hormone tests, and you do like an intake thing where he goes over your mental and physical health history, and then once he gets all the test results back, which takes like 3 or 4 weeks, you have another meetup with him, and he goes through what winds up being like 28 to 30 pages of reports, and it's everything you could possibly know about your body, your genetic, hormonal makeup, and everything, which was really useful for, especially for Kaya Ray. But I've been, in the meantime, he recommends, and he's super into supplements as opposed to drugs, and he recommends that you take these various vitamins and stuff, and it's less than what he recommended to Ray initially, but there was 5 different things 5 different supplements that he started me on that I ordered and started taking. One of them is this brand Bodywise, and another brand Thorn, and they're really high quality supplements, but there's 2 of them. They have like an AM one and a PM one, and the PM one, they've got a ton of different vitamins and minerals in them, and some supplements, which is fine, which is great. But the PM one had GABA in it, and which I took it for 2 nights. It's like take 3 pills a night, and I took it for 2 nights, and I noticed like by the 3rd day, I was just like, man, why am I so groggy? And like I just feel like I just want to lay down and sleep all the time. I'm lazy. I was like, oh, it's got GABA in it. That's right. Like the last time I took anything with GABA, it just messed me up, and I was groggy for like 3 days, and until it gets out of my system. Which, yeah, I looked it up, and it can, you know, depending on your makeup, it can stay in your system for days. And so at the same time I started taking that, and I'm supposed to be prepping for this hormone test, which is in a box. That it's just like a spit test and a urine test, and you do it all at home, and then you put it in your freezer, you freeze it, put it in this box, and then you mail it off. But it's like 3 days before you're supposed to refrain from tomatoes, bananas, nuts, avocados, chocolate, a number of other things, but those were the main ones that I was like, oh, well, I can't have pizza, I can't have Mexican food, blah, 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 you know, stuff that I normally like to eat somewhat frequently. So I've been cutting all that out, and it's also, well, you're not supposed to have caffeine. So, but with me being as tired as I've been from having that PM pill, I'm like, well, no way in hell am I not getting up in the morning and having my tea. I need my tea in order to function. So I've been, which my tea doesn't have a ton of caffeine in it. It's the really nice oolong tea that I drink. It's maybe 15 or 20 milligrams per cup, somewhere in there. But so I sent them an email this morning about it. But the interesting thing is, though, the good thing is that after coming back from Pismo, where we were pigging out for a few days, and I was up to like 180 pounds. I'm down to like 175 or under 175 this morning. So, and I've been exercising more on the treadmill. I just get on in the morning and I run a mile and a half just uphill at like 4 miles an hour. I did that again this morning, and I feel great. Anyways, I'm halfway to work, and I wanted to talk about Picard Season 3 for all one or two of you out there who are watching this that might be interested. I know you had to skip forward into this video. I gotta get better about prefacing my intro to my YouTube videos. But, so spoilers. Should I get right into spoilers? Jay, are we getting right into spoilers? I guess so. Skip ahead to the end if you don't want spoilers. I've got about 5 minutes here before I get to work. Overall, hey lady, don't hit me. Overall, I thought Season 3, the first half of it was great. They had that whole first storyline where Picard and Riker had to get a ship and go out to that nebula and figure out what was going on. And they introduced, I guess Captain Shaw was in Season 2. I watched like the first 4 or 5 episodes of Season 1, and I just couldn't bear it anymore. And I think I watched a few episodes of Season 2, but mainly I watched the Red Letter Media reviews of both seasons, and even those guys said, I think, what's his name, Mike Stokowski at one point says that most of the Star Trek fans who were interested in Picard, he was getting comments on their videos that people were more looking forward to their video reviews and were just waiting for the video reviews to to come out and not watch the actual show, which is exactly what I was doing through Season 1 and Season 2. So I kind of know what happened in Seasons 1 and 2 just from watching the Red Letter Media reviews. But for all practical purposes, apart from a few key things that happened in the plot, I just told myself that Seasons 1 and 2 never happened, and I'm just starting fresh with Season 3 and the timeline from there. But anyway, the first, what is it, 5 episodes or so where they go up against, what's her name? Yeah, I'm bad with character names. With the ship that looks like a giant spider in space or whatever. That was great. It felt like a long, actual Next Generation episode. And some of the characters, I gotta say, probably my favorite character of the whole season was Captain Shaw. The guy's awesome. It's like you kind of hated him at first, but it's like you're initially, when he starts talking, you're like, oh, this guy, he's like, is he going to be like the main antagonist in the story here? He really doesn't like Picard and Riker, but then like you quickly come to think, oh, well, yeah, but he's got good reason, and I kind of agree with him. And he's kind of an asshole, but like in a good way. And they never really faltered from that. They kept his character true to form. I think the writing of his character was really well done. And a lot of the other characters in the first 4 or 5 episodes, the dialogue was great. The storyline between Beverly and Jean-Luc, and that there was like that 5 or 10 minute long dialogue between them talking about Jack and you know their past relationship and what happened. That was actually really well done, and it seemed like true to the characters as they were in the original show. Next Gen, you know what I mean, not TOS. What is going on here? Look around the sky. What are we doing? It's like a trailer with horses. Okay. I'm going back over here. Sorry. This guy's driving like really slowly. It's a big vehicle towing another big vehicle with Montana license plates. Anyway, so I'm gonna skip ahead. I would like to do, if I had all the time in the world, I would make my own video with specific clips and review Picard season 3. The second half of it and the last couple episodes, some of the fan service stuff. There was so much fan service stuff where it was like they were obviously just like trying to get the audience to cry over the, oh, it's so great, and blah blah blah, and like, oh look, it's the Enterprise D. It was a bit much for me. I did think it to a certain extent. I appreciated some of it or a lot of it, and then I thought it was cool the plot devices that they used to make it. Oh well, we've got to go back and Geordi's like, oh, I've been working on the surprise, and I wasn't going to say anything, but look, here's the Enterprise D. I restored it. Okay, I thought that was feasible, and that worked. There was a few other things there was a lot of other things where I was like, I think that's in the plot where I think, well, that's a bit of a stretch, but that's acceptable. I'll let it go. It wasn't like things in seasons 1 or 2 where I felt like characters were doing things that were totally out of character, or things were happening that were just totally unfeasible and like would never happen, or just totally ruined my idea of like what Starfleet was or what the characters were. It was just, totally didn't make sense for the show. They didn't really go that far with it. I had some, a lot of minor complaints. I thought them killing off Captain Shaw, okay, but okay, we're supposed to be upset they killed off Captain Shaw, because I really liked Captain Shaw, but I get it. I just, maybe they could have done it in a better way. Okay, he dies in a firefight, in like this basic firefight. When they have firefights all the time in the show and nobody ever gets killed, and then he happens to get killed, and you're like, all right, whatever. And then the I will say one of the last scenes where Seven is sitting in the ready room with Tuvok, and Tuvok, she says, oh, I resigned from Starfleet. I'm like, okay, dramatic. And Tuvok says, well, you actually have this review here from Captain Shaw, and they have his projection of him making his captain's entry in his log, recommending her for promotion. And I couldn't help but think of from Parks and Recreation, where Ron is reviewing Leslie, or he's reading back his review of Leslie, or maybe I'm thinking of a combination of different scenes where and I'm like, oh my god, the parallels are so perfect, and maybe that's where they got this from. But I was thinking, he's basically saying she's insubordinate, she's blonde, she's liberal, and he's basically a Ron Swanson. It could have gone the same way. He's like, but damn it, I need her, and she keeps me in check, and it's important to have that balance of different types of people in your command. And okay, yeah, it was fitting. It was just funny. And then the other big thing, now that I'm here at work, just to summarize as quickly as possible, that whole last episode in the plot, was it not glaringly obvious that they just stole or paid homage? I don't know, not that that's the appropriate thing to do here, but they just stole the ending to Return of the Jedi. Down to, okay, we're gonna take the main starship in the show, and there's this giant evil cube instead of a sphere. It's and we have to fly it into the cube, and then there's a thing at the middle of it that we have to shoot to blow it up, and then we have to get out as quickly as possible. And rescue the other two main characters, which, yeah, you have the father and son dynamic. It's just like that. In Return of the Jedi, you have father, except it's reversed. In this case, it's the father trying to save the son instead of the son trying to save the father, where you had Luke and Darth Vader Here you have Picard and Jack, and then the Emperor character. But in this, you have the Queen of the Borg, and then it went exactly the same way. This guy's walking by, wondering who I'm talking to my camera here. And it was predictable, and then the point about where the Enterprise is flying around dodging phaser fire from Borg cube outside, and they come up with this idea to fly inside, and it's nearly impossible. It's going to be impossible, and Data says, well, I trust, I have a gut feeling that I can do it, even though it's basically impossible. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You're trying to have a character arc where it's like, okay, you're emphasizing the fact that Data is basically human now, and he's having gut feelings about things, and he's thinking he can do it. It still just seemed a bit of a stretch and a little too far out of character for Data. He didn't feel really at all like the old Data. They should have had a little bit of that, where he was more analytical and precise. And really, you should have just said, there's a 4 in 7 chance, sir, that we'll be able to navigate the inside of this Borg cube without killing ourselves, or without minor damage, or it should have been more precise and scientific. I would have felt better about that. And then all of that build-up to saying it's going to be really difficult, and then it seems like they go to them flying through the Borg cube, and there's not really much tension there. And it's just kind of do it, and it's not a big deal anymore, and we've forgotten that it was going to be nearly impossible. They could have had a couple of shots of them like running into a pipe or something. I think it would have made it would have brought the tension up a little bit. It didn't seem like it was all that tense. Maybe that's a minor critique, maybe not, but I don't know. There was a lot of little things like that. What else was I gonna say? The ending. The ending was. So they saved the day, and then the ending was like, so, and they never even explained it, but it's like, okay, they killed the Borg cube, and then all of the Starfleet officers who had turned into these biological Borg were just magically healed and went back to being human. That seemed like a bit of a stretch. It's like all of a sudden, okay, they weren't under control. I mean, maybe they kind of alluded. They never really alluded to that, or if they did, maybe I missed it. But I think maybe they just ran out of time in the writing room, and they're like, well, we've only got so many minutes in the episode left. We'll just skip over that, and we'll just do this thing where, okay, they blow up the Borg cube, and everybody goes back to normal. It seemed like it should have been more complex than that. Like they should have had to come up with some biological, like Dr. Crusher should have come up with, I found a way to reverse this if we, send out some transmission, or they come up with some Star Trek Next Generation-y thing that they would have to do to reverse everybody who's been infected or affected by the Borg assimilation process. Was that, and then the whole ending, the last 10 minutes of everything is happy and perfect, and that it was a little too much, and then and then they totally obviously laid out potential, which I'd have to go back and look this up and see if this is actually a thing, but the potential for a spin-off show with 7 of 9 as captain and Jack. So 7, Jack, and then what's her name that was hanging out with Worf the whole time? I still don't know her name. Her character was okay, and I'm guessing it was, from what I understand, better than what it was the first couple seasons. The whole thing where I was rolling my eyes pretty hard, and that last scene where they had 7 in the captain's chair, And they're like, set course, and she's like, what do you say? Engage, make it so. You have to have a catchphrase. You need to come up with some sort of catchphrase, because every captain has a catchphrase. Like, it's this mandatory Starfleet procedure that you have a catchphrase. I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm sorry, please stop. And it's like fan service. Anyways, I found that to be pretty annoying. And yeah, there was a bunch of other little things like that. But overall, was it terrible? The second half, so the first half of the season, I would actually give it like an 8 or 9 out of 10. It was pretty good. Second half, maybe a 6. Yeah, we'll say 6 out of 10. Yeah, could have been a lot better, I think. Of course, it had to turn into a Borg thing. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. That whole plot. I don't know. I gotta think about this some more. I'm still not really sure how I feel. But I'm gonna go with 6 out of 10 for now, for the whole thing. I still felt like, or for the second half of it anyways. Overall for the season, we'll round it off to 7.5. Or maybe, well, 7.8. It's close to an 8. I'm sure there's plenty of, like, Star Trek fanboys out there. They're like, oh, it was 10 out of 10. It was so great, and I cried at the end, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, it's not me. All right, well, I'm going to go into work now. Y'all have a lovely day. Peace out.